Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. And today, let us discuss some study stuffs. Let us talk about some literary theory. And today, I'm gonna talk about a literary theory called feminism. It's a very controversial theory, feminism, the term. Because nowadays I see mainly a lot of girls or teenagers. They post on Facebook uh, tattered clothes, shed tattoos, and new looks and rugged looks, whatever you call it. And the caption is being a feminist. Okay, so all these type of things I do see, and they are smoking and they are having weed, they are drinking socially or unsocially, whatever you say. Because I personally I don't like drinking at all. I'm not a person who drinks. So that doesn't mean that drinking is bad. I'm not telling that, obviously. But showing off a habit, showing off having a cigarette, having drinks, it's not right, I think. And nowadays, I'm seeing that the girls they post on Facebook or Instagram of those pics, and the caption is something meaning feminism. That means what I think that the term feminism is not very clear to them. Okay, so if you are watching my video, then please watch every bits and pieces of that video and listen to it. I'm not a person. I'm not a person who just goes through the, like, I can show you this article, and I my camera can go through that article line by line, and in the background my voice can come. My green groovy voice can come, and I can. I'm not that sort of guy. I rather like to talk to the camera, like to talk to the camera means talking to the audience, as because I'm always habituated to teaching in the class in the college. So that's why I like to face the camera, and that's why. So please listen to it, and you can also note down certain things. I'll be telling you the important points for sure. Contemporary feminism began in the late 18th century as a social movement to achieve political equality for women. Note the term called equality for women. Since its inception, it has passed through a number of different stages. In the 19th and early 20th centuries, liberal feminism and socialist feminism allied feminism with the dominant political theories of the day. Beginning in the 1960s, however, feminists developed approaches that did not depend on the male defined theories. Now, let me be very clear that this society has been a male dominated society from the earlier ages, or rather, from the very onset of the term society. Why male dominated? Because biologically the males are physically more like they can be physically fit and more fit, and they are more hardworking than the women. Simple theory according to biology. So they work hard outside, and the female or the women they work hard at home. So what happens after the day is over, when the males they come back to home, they came back, sorry, past tense, they came back to home and used to give out their frustration on the women or the weaker sex and all these things. From then on, it became a male dominated society. Even now even now most of the villages or cities or the societies that we see, most of them are male dominated societies. You cannot see female toto drivers every single day. The males are there, like in most of the offices, government offices or private sectors, you can see the males, their percentage is high. Till date, I shouldn't be personal in this case, but for teaching purpose I need to be that I even see my mother working back in her kitchen and in the entire house doing household deeds through the entire day, rather than going outside often. My father, on the other hand, he often goes outside. Not now, because COVID-19 is going on. Not now. I'm talking usually. He goes outside. So here also, like my mother has to stay back at the home and do all her boring stuffs day after day, 365 days. This is also a part of male domination. Okay. So let us go on. I'm sorry, I'm having a shuttered nose today. Uh, Radical feminism, psychoanalytic feminism, the feminisms of women of color, and postmodern feminism are attempts to develop analysis of women's role in society from a woman's perspective. A woman is a man with a womb. Always remember that. A man with a womb is a woman. A woman is the one who has the power of creativity. I mean, giving birth, or rather creating new generation. A woman has that capability. A man doesn't have. These approaches analyze how gender is constructed and maintained as one of the central meaning structures of society. Feminism today provides a comprehensive analysis of the social meaning of gender that forms a fundamental aspect of contemporary critical theory. In the late 18th and early 19th century, Western Europe has engaged in an effort to enfranchise people previously excluded from political participation. The vehicle that political activists employed to achieve this goal was the political theory of liberalism. Now, whenever you are going into literary theories, you will have various words ending with ism, ISM. And the word ending with ism means it is a theory. So, liberalism is a theory or a literary term. Liberalism involves the belief that government is formed by rational, autonomous individuals for the purpose of serving these individuals' interests. Liberals argued that all citizens should participate equally in government and that all should be treated equally under the law. Some women of the era embraced these liberal theories. Beginning in 1798 with the publication of English writer Mary Wollstonecraft's A Vindication of the Women of the Rights of Women, A Vindication of the Rights of Women, women argued that the movement toward a more egalitarian society should include an equal place for women. Now, you will have to remember the year 1798, the publication A Vindication of the Rights of Women by Mary Wollstonecraft. She is said to be the pioneer of feminism, Mary Wollstonecraft. Okay. English philosopher John Stuart Mill's The Subjection of Women, published in 1869, made this case as well. To these authors and the women and men who agreed with them, it seemed obvious, first, that women should be enfranchised, and second, that giving women the vote would be all that was required to secure their equality in society. They should have been given the right to participate in the democracy or to participate in the political aura of a country. In the first decades of the 20th century, women were granted the franchise in most nations in Western Europe and North America. As far as liberal theory was concerned, this should have solved the problem of women's inequality. Women were now equal citizens, but the status of women in Western nations was little changed by their enfranchisement. Most women continued to occupy an inferior status politically, legally, economically, and socially. Most women, so I'm repeating this line, most women continued to occupy an inferior status politically, legally, economically, and socially. Consequently, in the 1960s, women began to push for more extensive changes in society. They organized to remove laws that discriminated against women and challenged barriers to certain kinds of employment. Liberal feminists such as Betty Friedan, in The Feminine Mystique, published in 1963, The Feminine Mystique, argued that women should seek full political and legal equality and that This would remove their inferior status in society. Another feminist movement arose on the basis of the political theory that opposed liberalism. Another political theory that opposed liberalism, colon, sorry, Marxism. While liberalism locates power in the government, Marxism locates it in the economy. For Karl Marx, power resides with those who control the means of economic production. Consequently, changing the locus of that power will change the structure of society. What this means for women was developed by Marx's collaborator, we might know his name, Frederick Engels, in the Origins of the Family, Private Property and the State, published in 1845. Engels argued that the domination of women by men arose with the advent of private property in human society. He concluded that the overthrow of private property and specifically capitalism will result in the liberation of women. Extremely sorry. It follows that women, like the proletariat, should work for the overthrow of capitalism. This much. Now, you might not go into the theories more because you don't need it right now. We could have gone in it because there are various terms of various types of feminism, and especially not only Karl Marx or Frederick Engels. You could have Simone de Beauvoir, and you could have many other people talking about it, like Mackinnon and many others. So now what is important is let us know something about the women writer Virginia Woolf, because she is very important in the perspective of feminism. As I told you, that the initiator of feminism is, according to various critics, is, or historians, is Mary Wollstonecraft, and next came in the row was Virginia Woolf. So let us know something about her. So what I was talking about was Virginia Woolf, and she was born in 1882 and she died in 1941. Rather, she committed suicide, as we know. She is known as one of the chief protagonists of the Stream of Consciousness novel. Stream of Consciousness, something else related to James Joyce, and the novel portrayed as an artist as a young man. So, portrait of an artist as a young man, yeah, written by James Joyce. Let us talk about it in some other video because it will take a lot of time, and this video will be like a prolonged 40 minutes, 50 minutes video. Nobody will be having that much of endurance level to watch the video. So let us cut it short. About her art, about the art of Virginia Woolf, Kazamian says, quote unquote, one cannot help believing that the novels of Mrs. Woolf, even if they were to be an isolated portent, will experience a fuller survival. Their audacity is combined with an infinite seduction. The danger that lurks in them is no less subtle than themselves, and their charm might allay the verdict of that deeper taste which never wanders for long from a certain mean or measure in art. Measure indeed, a judgment fine and just, as much as penetrating, as intelligence as sharp as steel, and yet not needlessly cruel, the clear analysis of slender and almost immaterial data, such classical merits enriched by the most modern intuition, are displayed by Mrs. Woolf in her literary or social essays. So that much too we can find. We find in the Scarlet Letter the effort to enslave a soul as the great of sins. We find in Mrs. Dalloway a similar tendency in a new form. Clarissa Dalloway has the gift of seeing into the heart. She knows that Miss Kilman is evil. She allows Miss Kilman take Elizabeth with her to the stores. As we know, Virginia Woolf, a famous quotation by Virginia Woolf, that the world changed in 1920. And similarly, at that time, someone came into the, someone ushered in English literature, and that person's name is Thomas Stearns Eliot, T.S. Eliot. His first publication, as per as I can remember, is in 1918. Was in 1918, and it was J. Alfred Prufrock and Other Observations. In 1920, his critical essays came out. And he was a person, he used to write his poetry, he used to criticize his own poetry, so that's that type of a person he was. And yeah, clearly the world changed in 1920, because this change started to be, according to the history of English literature, we can say it was from 1885 onwards. The plot of the First World War was being created over there, and literally we can say that it started in 1912 with the publication of Metamorphosis, the short story written by Kafka. And later we can also say that in 1918 or 20, at that time, with the publications of Thomas Stearns Eliot and with the quotation of Virginia Woolf, that the world changed in 1920. So that was the initiation of the modern era. Now, Virginia Woolf was from, her novels were known as kitchen novels, if you know it, because she did not used to get a lot of time to write novels. That's why she wrote them in her kitchen. And her one of her publications, A Room of One's Own. I have read something about it, so that's what I can say. Uh, yeah, when a girl is born, that girl spends, or rather shares, her room with her mother and her father in that adolescence period. When she becomes young, and she gets married, she shares it with her husband. After that, after the having after being a mother, after having a child or two, she shares her room with her children. And again, at her in her old age, she shares her room with her husband and children. So where's her own room? The liberal aspect of women, from the liberal aspect, a woman is always in her shortcomings, and that is what this person, Virginia Woolf, she brought into highlight. Next day, in my next video, this video is part 1 on feminism. I'll be making a part 2, and I'll be posting it, I think tomorrow or in a couple of days, on Mary Wollstonecraft. Please watch that video, because Mary Wollstonecraft is purely a feminist. And what did she want to say? What was her verdicts, her quotations, important quotations? I'll be telling all those things in the next video. Part 2. This is part 1. Do remember this, and please subscribe and do hit the bell icon for getting notified for the upcoming videos, important videos for sure. Signing out for now. Thank you for watching.